String slicing is Python's name for finding substrings within a broader string of characters. So imagine you have a string. How do you get just the first 5 characters, or the last 5, or the middle 5? String slicing is the answer. Let's start simple though. How would you get just a single character out of a string? Python has some dedicated syntax for this. Brackets. Whenever you have a data structure that's actually a list of multiple items, the way a string is a list of multiple characters, you can access individual items from that list using brackets. The number you put inside the brackets is the index of the item from the list that you want. So calling myString bracket 1, close bracket, gets the first item from the list of characters contained by the variable myString. Now the tricky thing here is that Python, like most programming languages, names the very first item in the list 0. The second item is actually 1, the third is 2, the fourth is 3, the fifth is 4, and so on. We'll talk about why that is a bit later. So to get the first item, the A from this string, you actually ask for myString's 0th character. MyString bracket 0 will give you the first character from myString, as we see over here. Then myString's first character, or the 1th character, is actually B. This is called zero indexing. The indices of a list start with 0. Indices is plural for index. What it also means is that the index of the last item in the list is always 1 fewer than the number of items in the list. If you have 5 characters, as we have here, then the last character is number 4. This leads to a common error. If we try to access a list item that doesn't actually exist, we get what's called an index error, because the index is out of range. That's what's happening over here. As before, if this string has 5 characters, then the last character is character number 4. And so asking for the character of myString with index 4 gives us that last character, which is the letter E. If we go one further and ask for the character with index 5 from myString, we get an error, because there is no 5th character. We would say that there's a 5th character, but that's because we start counting at 1. Here, there is no 5th character, because Python counts them 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Remember also, strings are an immutable type. That means we can't modify their values. We can reassign them to new strings, but we can't change the values that are there. That's where the error shown here comes from. Here, we're trying to assign the 4th character of myString, which would be E, to the character F. We're trying to change it from ABCDE to ABCDF. But when we try this, we get an error, because strings do not support item assignment. In other words, you can't change a single character in a string to a different character. We can only use the brackets to access individual characters, not to modify them. Now you might wonder, why zero indexing? If you don't wonder, you can skip the rest of this video. But if you do wonder, it goes all the way back to the early days of computing. Remember, we've talked about how variable names are really just pointers to locations in memory. So here, we have a variable called myString, and in memory, we have a list of characters. Each character is really a different item. So here we have 5 characters, so there are 5 items in our list. In earlier programming languages, the pointer myString would point to the beginning of the list, and the number in brackets would say how many members of the list to skip. That meant if you wanted the first item in the list, you skipped 0 items. If you wanted the second item in the list, you'd skip 1 item. So that's why lists are 0 indexed. The first item is index 0 because you're skipping 0 items to get the first item. This also explains why index out-of-bound errors occur. If I were to ask for the 5th item, or put 5 in the brackets, then I'm saying to skip 5 items. I skip the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th item, but there is no 6th item. So that's why that triggers an error. If I skip every item in the list, there are no more items left to read.